Welcome back to Hot Mess Espresso, guys. This is part 2 of our captivating interview with Ryan. Welcome back.
That's an interesting word for this. Hi, glad to be.
I blanked on what to say, so I was like, captivating. We're gonna go with that.
It's weird, wild. Here for it.
So when you were here last, we kind of went to a deep dive over your military career,
Yes,
and all that fun stuff. But I think we're gonna go a little deeper and just we're gonna chit chat about your mental health journey with all of this.
I'm excited.
So, yeah, how did that start to come about? Like the process of your diagnoses and what your diagnoses are, and give me the good stuff.
So when I got back from deployment, obviously there was some underlining issues. The biggest thing was like, you ever have those dreams where it's just like high tense, like you're trapped in there. You know you're sleeping, but like you can't get out. Like some what's that?
Yeah.
There's scary movies about it being trapped in those dreams. And you're just like in a different world. But yeah, I was dealing with that a lot, and it was a lot of like save the room of people kind of ordeal type Mission Impossible stuff. And I'd wake up in a complete like deep sweat, panic, heart racing stuff. So I started going to the VA about that, talking to them about that, and they ended up diagnosing me with sleep terrors or sleep tremors or whatever, night terrors. So
That's rough.
they got me on some different sleeping stuff. The biggest one, I can't remember what exactly it was called, but they use it pretty much. What I was told by somebody that's been even in the jail systems, it's a pretty common one that they diagnose people that have a hard time sleeping, but it just knocks you out. So we kind of just kept toying around with that. I was still in the military at this time, but this was like towards the end of my contract because I was getting out in 2019. And it really started spurring up once I found out we were pregnant with my daughter. Like that's when the stress just went, through the roof. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a dad. So, just started piling on through that, and then going through the relationship, prepping the house and all that, working together as as a crew to try to prepare for a baby. It was a lot. It was a high stressful situation. The night terrors were coming and going and stuff. I was trying to work, so I was able to get like my mind off things for the most time and get into work and stuff like that and stay focused, hobbies and stuff like that. But once I got out of the military and then I got that full diagnosis, I went in and talked with, the mental health clinic and stuff through the VA and just like, hey, I think I might have the that all of us are afraid to have, from some of the stuff we've experienced over there and stuff like that, and even traumas and stuff. So we went through an exam and they ended up diagnosing me with PTSD, also self-adjusting camera, PTSD.
Yeah, it's done that, like it's done that already.
Oh, has it? I better turn that off.
It's no big
I
deal
didn't realize
at
it was
all.
doing that.
That's actually kind of cool that it does that.
Okay, fine. We'll go back to that. But no, it was hypermanic bipolar disorder or manic bipolar disorder. So when I get into my woo, it's a woo for a few days. It used to be a lot worse than it is now. I've been able to really cope with it. ADHD was on the diagnosis as well, and anxiety, severe anxiety. So I've been just we went through the regimen of try this, and probably went through 20, 30 different scripts trying to figure out which one was going to be the best one. And honestly, we couldn't find the right recipe. I've been off of pharmaceutical prescription drugs from the VA for mental health now for, I think, going on about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. And primarily because I just started doing a little bit of research into different things. Big Joe Rogan listener. A lot of his interviews or stuff are interesting, especially when he gets people on there that are into holistics and mushrooms and stuff like that. And I listened to this one, and the gentleman kept talking about, the different psilocybinal effects on precognitive neurocell regrowth and stuff like that, and how it, helps and repairs. And he even went into like brain bruising with MMA and combative troops and stuff like that. And, being in football growing up since I was, 4 or 5 years old, banging my head and everything, even with a helmet, baseball, wrestling, just being a boy, being stupid, being active and
Mhm.
stuff. Definitely have had some concussions. Definitely have not gone to the doctor for some of those, head bangs, just kind of walked it off, tough it out. We'll be
Mhm.
all right. I'm just a little sick here. But yeah, like it really started piquing my interest, and then I started talking to somebody here locally, and she's been to her own studies and actually had uh, a degree behind holistics and herbal medicines and stuff like that. So we started talking more and more about it, and she was interested in seeing how it would go because she was also looking into deep like hypnosis therapy. Like she was starting to her studies into that, and I'm like, I'm totally down. If you could hypnotize me and we can go into somewhere else to kind of work on this in my brain, because I know it's my brain, just it's either stuck on something, and I'm not exactly, well, I know what it is to an extent, from my past, but it's like a combination of things, like being at that heightened state of just, and my it's almost like my something is addicted to being back in that position when I'm not in control. Like when I'm in
Right.
sleep mode, it's almost like something in my brain wants to trigger that again just to see what that's like. It's it do you know what I mean? You ever come across that
I
kind
know
of,
exactly what you mean.
it's
Yep.
so interesting. And it's like, hey, I didn't turn this switch on. Who gave you permission to do this? And then you
Right.
kind of have to go through the steps of like working yourself back down. So when she
Mhm.
started mentioning the hypnosis side of things, I was definitely interested. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So once we both agreed upon it, she came over. I dabbled into, like a sandwich. We'll just put it out there. I just made a little psilocybe sandwich, little fun guy. And we went upon this, I was laying on the floor. She sat crisscross applesauce behind me, held my head in her hands, and just kind of just talked me into what to visualize, what to think. And at one point, I went to this like, ooh, like once it fully kicked in, I just kind of like floated down kind of feel. And it was nice because at that time I didn't have anything else going on. There was no other sounds. She wasn't saying anything. It was just like controlled breathing. And I can start to visualize some of that stuff.
Mhm.
But it was like almost like a movie moment, like where you can take it out and you can put it into a physical presence in front of you. You can pull out something else. And I was all able to do this while I just laid there on the floor, just thinking about my breathing. And I was visualizing all this. And Heather, I'm not even kidding you. I took everything and I built a wall of just like Polaroids. And I see this clear as day every day. But it was
Mhm.
just all of the shit that ever upset me, worried me, freaked me out, had me afraid. I got angry at it was all there, little clips, little Polaroids, and all of a sudden I just went, just exhale, and they turned into like ashes, just flames, and it was just
Sign me
gone.
up.
Yeah, and then I just kind of sat there in shock, like what the fuck just happened? But
Right.
it was just like a weight, just poof, gone. And all of a sudden it was just like I could breathe. Like there was no heaviness, no nothing. I came out of that, like I just opened my eyes all of a sudden. It was like the shroom effect was off. I don't know how long I was laying like that. She was actually asleep or in a trance sense, like kind of just curled over. My head was still resting in her palms. I sat up and I turned around. I was freaked out. I'm like, what the fuck? And I
Right.
shook her shoulder and she's like, hey, are you okay? You are feeling all right? And she just wanted to make sure I was okay. I'm like, whatever
Mhm.
we just did, I don't have words. Like I woo. And to this was 2020. This is
Mhm.
2020 when this happened. It was just shy of the pandemic starting to wind down here in Michigan. And it's 4 months later or 4 years later, I I haven't had a true night terror since in the realm of that. I haven't had a panic attack, anxiety attack. It's almost like a different outlook on life. Like, I just almost now have the ability to go, like, whatever your issue is, like, I've been through 10,000 times worse, and I've gotten through it, and I'm here to stand and to be able to tell you, like, it's gonna be all right. Like, you're totally gonna get through this because there's 1,000 other bullshit situations like this ahead of you. Like, you can't get caught up on this little one right now because the next one might be bigger, and we're gonna need you to learn how to get past this to get to the next one. And this is something you got to continuously tell yourself. It's just like you
Oh
got a
yeah.
little brother, little sister in your head, and you're like, "Come on, we got through this before." It's
Yeah,
interesting. So that's why I stand behind the shrooms on my personal experience thing because when
yeah.
they have such a negative view or like just like oregano. I always preach oregano to people. I can't anymore, but because they don't like freedom of speech too much and holistics outside of medicine on the TikTok app. But whatever, that's another topic. Uh,
Oh, we can get into that, but
That's so annoying. I just got a 7-day ban off the app because I was talking about the vaccine and heavy metal detoxes. Which is really good to use, y'all. If you haven't ever looked into a heavy metal detox, you can really start to suppress some of the effects and issues and longevities if you just start looking into the things that you got going on in your life. But anyway, that's
yeah.
just my personal opinion from my. But
No, I'm all into holistics, honestly.
yeah, oregano oil is shown countless times, and even a high school student did a study where he tested oregano oil against amoxicillin, and it killed 99%, up to 100% of the bacteria inside a petri dish against amoxicillin, a known antibacterial or antibiotic. But
Mhm.
yeah, I was just talking about on that topic. Um, with the shrooms and being in holistics and everything, it's just I have a different outlook on life. The medicine when I was under the VA's prescription on some of these anxiety meds. I was working for the post office at the time. I was in a different city on borrowed out, the county over, big
Mhm.
college town. I was a totally new route and everything's middle of the summer. I took a brand new prescription prescribed by a psychiatrist and a doctor through the VA, and this thing kicked in, and it felt like it froze my heart to my spine, and it just caused all my pores to pour out.
Mhm.
It felt like my heart was about to leave my body and I couldn't move a muscle. I was able to thank God for Siri because I was able to call my daughter's mother to call 911. It was terrifying. Like I couldn't move my
Yeah.
neck, nothing. I was just sitting in the car in the van, like, oh my God, what's happening right now? And it was just such a rush of emotions and feelings and just woo! Yeah, I know that was my breaking point. I'm like, I'm never trusting somebody else with my body ever again. Oh, fuck you, excuse my French, but no way. Sorry, doctor. You didn't live that out, dude. You ain't. You take that shit you gave me. You take that shit. That's
Honestly,
how I
though.
felt. I'm like, oh, fuck.
I I mean, that's the
So
reason why
yeah,
I'm not on any meds for like my anxiety or the borderline or anything like that. Because
it's just
it doesn't
you get to that
do well for
point
me.
where you get to that point where you don't see a progress in yourself. You're tired of or hearing everybody going like, "Oh, you need it. You need it." The fuck I do because I don't feel like me. I don't feel like I my best while I'm on this shit. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
I might have fixed the issue at that time, but like longevity, fuck y'all. Like, I'm not eating right. I'm not feeling good. I'm either putting on weight or I'm losing weight. It's just hair, issues left and right. It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna
No, I
focus
completely
on what
agree.
my body needs. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
that's
literally just
my
on
touch on.
yeah. No, I completely am for that just because like I've been on ADHD medications and I was on Adderall and then it was giving me crippling panic attacks. Like I was sobbing for like no reason the second round that I took it and it
Just
was a different
random as hell.
manufacturer. It's awful. So then I was off of it, but then with everything going on with like the aesthetics job and the pod and everything, I was like, I've got to get back on medication. Like I can't like basically, for lack of a better term, raw dog the ADHD anymore. I can't do
Right.
it. And I got on a different medication, same thing. Like I had a day where I felt okay, but I felt like not high, but it was like a little like out of body, like drunkish, But then the next day it was just the panic attacks and the panic. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. So now I'm back onto nothing. But I will say, yeah, I can't do that. I cannot
Yeah.
have those ebbs and flows. But I will say, like, when it comes to like non psychedelic mushrooms, those are coming out as really effective when it comes to
Lion's
on
mane. Absolutely.
yeah, lion's mane, cordyceps. I'm gonna butcher the name of this, but cordy's something or whatever. Um, there's so many that are really great for like mood stabilization and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm not a doctor. Um, I gotta make that disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I don't give out medical advice. I'm just saying this is what works for me. Um, but even the non-psychedelic, so I went back and grabbed like a combo of cordyceps because cordyceps gives you energy, and
Mm.
I need the energy because I never get like the ADHD zoomies really. I get more of that functional freeze and that just like I don't want to actually do anything. Like I'm just not motivated to do a damn thing. So I've never done like the psychedelic end of it, but the non-psychedelic, it's pretty good. If I could like remember to take the damn supplements, I'd be phenomenal.
Same.
That's it's like here, take this for your ADHD. Perks of ADHD, not remembering to take shit. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing.
I've
But
got
to kind
what,
of
2 calendars in front of me, and I'm constantly forgetting
mm-hmm.
things all the time. Sorry again. This was supposed to be recorded about a month ago. Uh,
Like a week. Yeah, well, yeah, it was like a month ago.
about a month
And you're
ago.
like, you didn't remind me. I was like, technically I did. You just didn't see the comment when I would roll into your live, be like Tuesday, and then roll out. We worked it out though. We worked it out. But to circle back a little bit, kind of when that litany of diagnoses came through, what was your headspace like? Was it kind of more, this is really overwhelming, or, oh, that makes so much sense, or kind of a combination of both?
I could set, like, I could have played around with both mindsets, but I was more of like, let's just get this tackled, let's get it figured out, let's get their
Mm-hmm.
opinion. I was more interested in their opinion opposed to what I've already, because I was the kid that, growing up, I was dealing with ADHD for a while. I was diagnosed early on as a child, and then I was undiagnosed as a teen, and I refused to take the meds. Like they had a nurse at the school there to give me an afternoon pill in like elementary school, and hated it. Hated it so much. It would zombie me out, and I just, my
Mm-hmm.
friends would be running around doing stuff. I just wanted to lay down. I'd go home from school and sleep, and then wake up at 6 in the afternoon, and then eat, and then go back to bed. Like it was not a life. Like it was a
No.
zombie thing. So I just stopped taking it. Like my parents were working too much to kind of fully see, and as long as I wasn't throwing extra at them because their workload was so overwhelming at most times. The 90s were tough on young adults. For the most
Mm-hmm.
part, my dad was getting into the non-union shops. My mom was bouncing around between an insurance company that failed, dress company, the schools. She got into the schools when I was pretty young, and then but she was doing more voluntary hours than she was on the actual clock. So that was, I mean, it was extra cash for the fam. But my dad was primarily the work, the money bringer in. But they
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed their youth, so yeah, I was at home with my sister most of the time, or I was at my friend's house. So it was it it wasn't the main focus at the time because, again, it was early 90s. It was like, okay, the
Right.
doctors know what they're doing. They're in good hands. The kids are
Yep.
on their meds. They're acting good. There's no additional issues. They're all everything's just in a good space. And so my parents
Mm-hmm.
go out on rides, go hang out, go do things, take their little dates. But no, when I originally got that diagnosis, I always knew there was something underlining there. And then I knew something happened when I was overseas that kind of like broke a branch, snapped a twig somewhere where it was just kind of like, "Ooh, we got to work through this."
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing that I want to ever expose anybody to. I don't know. I can't necessarily remember how deep of the conversation I went with the first episode, but You know, just being in the hospital was the biggest issue. When I got hurt with
Right.
my knee injury sitting in that emergency room, I just wanted the hell out of there at that point because they were just like, all right,
Mhm.
you're just going to lay on this bed. You're gonna watch that foot traffic in and out of here for the next 2 days. Like, cool.
So fun.
Can I help this person? No? Cool. Can you? Earplugs? Anything. Hit me with the hammer. I want to go to sleep. Like, oh. I want to listen to
Yeah.
people in agony for the next 2 days, dude, in the war zone. Like, what are you
I
thinking?
was just gonna say, because you were in a military hospital, right?
Yeah, it's in Bagram Airfield Base, the one
Oh
where
yeah.
we left abruptly. So it treated military and civilians. So, I
Not fun.
think Hostel's bad. That was movie makeup. Like, just imagine that kind of stuff.
I
So,
watched
yeah,
all of
that
those
was,
movies, so yeah.
yeah. Um, that those were my biggest demons that would always revisit me and stuff like that. Like how to prevent that, how to help them. Like listen to people scream in agony and not be able to do anything is probably the worst thing you could do to someone's soul.
I'm
Like
sure.
it's the worst sound, the worst noise, the worst thing. And
Ugh.
it's always been a trauma to me because what I found even through therapy, my biggest trauma experience as a child was going into a Halloween store. It was called Seventh Heaven in Flint. I don't. Oh my God! Here we go. So they had this
I'm ready.
original. It was one of the original animatronics, and they put this damn thing on like a stage in the store. So it's like ground levels, the whole floor, like the whole store of costumes and masks. And this was like a mom and pop one. So this wasn't a chain. Like they had cool, legit shit. They were
Mhm.
collectors, and they even made some of the stuff. Like I think they made this thing. But this guy was sitting in a wooden chair, this animatronic, and he would just be leaning down and all the whole get up, you know, the computer electrical box behind him and stuff. But it'd have the speaker, the lighting, the smoke, and then it would go off like every 5 minutes. And as like a 5, 6 year old, I'd be hiding in the fucking costumes. And I'd be like, hey, I'm not that kid because it would be like,
No.
no, don't, blah, blah. It just shake around, and it was so fucking nuts for me. Um, so yeah, thanks mom, thanks dad. So yeah, then going overseas and then dealing with that, it was just like it like kind of broke the
Yeah,
branch.
that
That
would
was my biggest thing I had
mhm.
to get through. I've always been like, I will let me save the situation. You know, if there's like a fight in the crowd, I'm always jumping in. I'm 6'3", so I'm grabbing collars and like break it up. You know, I've always been that type. I jump into action. I want to like I gotta. If I don't, then I feel like I didn't do. I'm one of those people. Fucking Captain America over here. Hate it.
It's all good.
I hate it. It's like instinctually just jump into the fire, Ryan. It's cool. Don't worry about
What could go
yourself.
wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that obviously like the biggest part of your trauma? Was that what was literally haunting you at night with the
It.
sleep terrors?
Yeah. That was primarily the biggest thing. It
Yeah.
was. It was hearing it, seeing it firsthand, not being able to do anything in the same room type situational shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I never want to, like, nobody wants to be through that shit. I don't ever want to put anybody through that type of shit. And I'm just one of those types, like, I will go out of my way to prevent that. Like, I don't want to see anybody hurting or in pain, and I don't care if they deserve it or not. Like, don't do it in front of me. Like,
Right. No, 1000%. How
not to make
did
it dark or weird.
but so how did trying to figure out how to like word this
Go
question.
ahead, send it.
So obviously with becoming a parent and dealing with like your mental health from the sounds of the timeline about the same time, um how
Yeah.
did having your daughter like either help or
It put
motivate or
purpose.
even just like kind
It,
of
it
make you
put
take a step
purpose.
back with all of it?
It instilled like a whole new program of purpose and gave me like quit worrying about all this extra shit. Like all materialistic shit went out the door. Like
Mhm.
unless it was for her. Like it made her smile for a day, made her laugh. Like I'll put it in front of her. I don't care. I'll spend my last dollar. Like it just gave me like such like a whole new fire in life. And that's why I'm so quick to not to be like, look, I'm not interested in a relationship at all. Like, I don't want to mess up what I got going for her. I don't want to throw any because I went through a shitty relationship, at
Mhm.
post her mother, and it was wild. It was wild to be a part of that and have that story now under my belt too. Just be like, yeah, yeah, it can happen to dudes too, man.
Mhm.
Ugh. And especially when you got children involved, it is like, ooh, it's a whole nother dark level of person you never want to ever deal with ever again. So it's
Oh,
better
I'm
just to
sure.
stay and protect for now, and then. But no, when I found out I was having her, it definitely it sped up the focus on what's wrong with you, so she doesn't have to deal with the same shit. Because if
Oof.
she comes out full blown spun up, uncontrollable, because I was a fucking menace as a kid. My
Mhm.
nurse from my family doctor, I believe, still has a permanent bruise on her knee from me kicking her from her trying to give me a shot as a child. I was known in every waiting room to be the kid that couldn't sit the fuck down or shut the fuck up. Like, for real. I was Michael Winslow and Jim Carrey in one kid. I
Oh
was
my
making
god.
noises. I was like fucking acting like, yeah, in the backseat of the car. My dad would be like, "You just quiet down." Like, cranking up, Van Halen to the point we can't hear him. We're like, "Dad, it's too loud." He'd be like, "Try working in a shop." Oh yeah, it was always like high energy growing up. So I wanted to make sure that she going into things like she had tools in front of her and learning things, not so much like all of the crazy nonsense. Like, you know, she can play and learn at the same time. It doesn't necessarily need to be so much.
Yep.
I don't want her focusing on boyfriend girlfriend focus Disney type stuff. That doesn't need to be her main focus at all. And I'm sorry, I know you're part of the princess generation, as so many other women are as well. You guys they're raised to think like you're gonna be saved by Prince Charming and this guy and that guy's gonna save you and Shrek and Fiona and every one of them.
I don't
So
know.
I just
Belle
want
Belle was my girl.
see, but still,
I
she
wanted the
was still falling in
library.
love with the beast. All of them are
I know.
hopeless romantic love stories. It's ridiculous. So all of it instilled in you guys. So you guys are gonna be hopelessly happy. You got to be in a relationship to be happy. Essentially, you won't be happy unless you got love. That's not true. You got to
No,
be
it's not.
successful. You got to be successful first and bring something to the fucking table and find someone else that's successful. Because it's like a plus and a minus. If you put a plus and a minus, you're gonna get a minus. If you put a plus and a
Mhm.
plus, you get a double plus. Like, you want double pluses? Like, shit. Everyone wants to put a minus
Exactly.
and a minus together and think it's gonna turn into fucking pluses, but it ain't. So it's like,
Yeah.
focus on yourself as an individual first, and then bring that to the table. Like, it's not impressive, like, I don't know. I'm just
No, you're good.
right in the middle of that rant.
That's
But
okay.
just put this. Thought I was actually disturbed. Anyway, what was I saying? But yeah, the
I mean, it's
that
very
was
on
such a good
brand
rant.
for this, so you were just
I
saying,
know,
like,
right?
you gotta bring what you bring to the table
Yeah, you got to be
and
able to
be good with
bring to
yourself.
yes. So when I found out back to when I found out I was pregnant, it just was like, okay, Ryan, you got 1 year essentially to figure this out and be in a position
Mhm.
to where you can be dad and be successful at the same time. And at that time, I was at the post office trying to work through that on top of 50-hour work weeks, 60-hour work weeks, being called in on your days off, staying way later than you were supposed to because they need you to jump on this route, this route, this route. Meanwhile, you got a pregnant woman at home, pissed off that not knowing exactly when you're going to be home, no solidarity time schedule. I'd like to watch this. I'm waiting for you. I made dinner. I'm like, oh yeah. So essentially, at the end of it, after my second snow apocalypse of delivering in the snow and my bad knee from my time in service as it wasn't ready, I'm like, yo, I'm going to destroy my body and my mind if I continue on with this job. So I had to step down from the post office. I was like, this money ain't worth it. I'm sorry, but you got to
Right.
find someone young. Like, I'm 26
Younger.
years old. My body is like beat the hell down. I can't do this, guys. So they let me go respectfully. It was a mutual separation. They keep asking me to come back, which is wild. I'm like, nope. Um, so yeah, I essentially started focusing more on position, and I ended up getting into the cannabis side of things here in Michigan, which was a little bit more lax. Is more of something I was interested in as well with mental health and everything. Getting into more of like herbal, natural, holistic side of things because of that that impact on that one time when I was at the post office and I was on that medication and just put me into like a panic attack or anxiety attack or whatever the hell they want to consider it as. I thought I was having a stroke and a heart attack at the same time. I
Honestly.
just don't. Ooh. But no, so I started diving into the cannabis side of things and I started off well, they pretty much threw me to the fire because it was a veteran owned business and shout outs Mario and Trey out there in Claire, the Empire Collective in Michigan. Still love you guys. They're Army brothers. They came together and they opened up a dispensary in Claire in honor of their brother who was in the army who passed away due to cancer that he developed from his time in from burn barrels, which I was even, exposed to at times. So time will tell. That's why I'm also trying to make sure I keep my body clean and detox and all that
Yeah.
stuff as much as I can. But no, I loved it. They had me come in as an assistant manager, and we just hit the ground running, man. We were taken over by storm, and I just wanted to make sure I was the guy that could answer any question that any customer came to me because it's such a weird position to be in. I'm a legal drug dealer at that point. You come up to me
Mhm.
and you go, some old guy wants to know, well, I usually smoke what my neighbors got. So what do you got for me? I'm like, well, where do you want to go from here? What kind of high you want?
Right.
And they go, what? I'm like, oh, yeah. Do you want something that's gonna make you go outside and enjoy raking the leaves a little bit? You're gonna turn on some Jay Giles band in the garage. You're gonna, na, 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 na. Or are you gonna want to kick on some Law and Order, some Matlock, chill on the couch, have some popcorn. We got like a nice little hybrid for you. You just want to like calm down, wind down for the day. Turn on the news or whatever in the background, ESPN, and just kind of take a nice nap. Oh, I want the nap. Like, oh, dude, you want an indica? I got you. Couch is a good way to remember this. Oh, that's a good one. I'm like, all right, so you want gummies? Do you want things? And just kind of dive into it. Then I would had the ability to try out everything myself, and I kept like a little journal and stuff. Like this did this for me. But then I was also able to look into like cannabinoids and the brain receptors and how it works, and consuming it by ingesting it. How the body breaks down and metabolizes things compared to smoking or inhaling, and just it was a really interesting time for me because I also had the baby and everything. It was a really good time for me to just kind of learn a lot about myself and able to be helping people, which I've always take a good note into doing and stuff. So, and then it gave me free time, tons of free time on top of that.
Right.
And then we started moving into like on the road positions within the cannabis industry. I started working for Wana Gummies out of Colorado, which was a great opportunity.
Mm.
Got to travel all over the state, talk to different store owners, make good connections, network, which was nice. And, I also would only have to work 3, 4 days a week on a salary position at that point. So it was just like, this is amazing. Put tons of time with my daughter and stuff. But at that time, her mom and I split. So I was also going through the process of learning how to do this on my own and stuff. So it was interesting. I've been through the court battles, been through that, mental breakdown as a dad and stuff. That's a whole nother podcast in itself. Let me tell you right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Um, and I have nothing bad to say at all. Like we have butted heads, her mother and I. I love her dearly as a mom. She does great. Um, we've we've got our own things to work through still on some things. She's still got her own
Mhm.
things. It's just but it's nice though because it's two adults, two parents that want to come together and do the best for their daughter. And she's
And
showing
that's
progress and
rare.
stuff. And yeah, it's very rare. I'm in a very unique situation.
So
I'm
rare.
blessed and honored. But it's as a man, it's the ability to at times shut the fuck up and go, look, she's not gonna put her sword down Like, I gotta just shut up for a minute and maybe we can like get back into good graces. But you can't weasel your way in. Like, you can't be a weasel. You know when you're being a weasel. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
know when you're forcing the fucking issue. You gotta have right intention. You gotta, the bad intention can always flare up. You gotta know to say no. You gotta know when to hold back. Because if you constantly keep putting those bad intentions in front of everything else, it'll never progress. It'll never move forward. You guys end up keep hooking up when you're trying to fix things. Not
That never
necessarily. Yeah.
works.
No. You're just
Never
always
works.
adding in fucking more emotion into the mess. You got a hot dog here, and you're just both trying to, hot dog's a bad fucking analogy, but essentially, you just keep throwing more fucking mustard and ketchup on the fucking mess. You're not gonna have a solid hot dog. You're gonna have a hot dog soup or
Yeah.
condiment soup. Just chill out with the fucking sauce. All right, get down to the bun. Figure out the
Yeah, no.
fucking what's in that dog, dude.
That was we didn't even have kids, but like my ex-husband and I dealt with that when we first separated. We still would like occasionally hook up, and it was like
2 days
and
is
it
not
was
long enough. It's not. You
yeah,
gotta give
it's
it like
just
a couple of good times to be able to show yourself like, wow, I can be around him. I could be around her without, being naked. It's impressive. Like, wow, we
I
actually
know.
are people. Because
Yeah.
because that's the biggest thing you start to fret right away as adults. Like, oh, fuck, now I gotta get back out there and find a new partner. Like, ugh.
It sucks. It's
Ugh.
awful. 0 stars.
I mean, there's a couple stars out there, but
Oh, yeah. No, no, no. No, I definitely got lucky with my situation, 1,000%, both in the like ex-husband and new guy department. But yeah, like my ex-husband and I get along so well, and it's because we took the relationship off the table. Because when we would start to get along a lot better, then we kind of come back in and then hook up, wake up, be like, we can't do this again. Like, we're
don't
fighting
get
again.
to
Like, why?
wake up.
And once we were like, if we stop doing this and this, we're gonna get along just fine. And now we barely ever have arguments. I mean, we still live together. We barely have arguments. And it's like, it's not the same thing because there were no kids involved, but because we just kind of put our shit to the side and just said, how can we work together as just like 2 adults to make this entire situation okay,
Mm-hmm.
was also rare.
Biggest thing
Because
is
most people don't get
communication too.
divorced. Most people don't get divorced and can stay friends after. They
Yep.
just can't.
No. No. Well, also, I mean, usually divorce leads to like, okay, who can host the biggest rally between the two as well? It becomes like a political campaign. Who can just fucking shit
Yeah,
on
literally.
each other the worst? And
Hmm.
you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, no. We were joking about like doing a joint divorce party, and they were like, well, that might be like a little weird, like having all of
A
our friends
little.
together, like, yay, we got a divorce party. You've
Yeah,
never heard of
yeah.
a divorce party? Oh my god.
I don't have many married friends.
Get a couple. Well, no,
I don't
don't get a
wanna. They're
couple.
crazy. No, they're not.
They are crazy.
You wanna
Okay.
come over to our house? Check this out. Yeah, man, I bought this. I checked this out. I got this. Like, I don't want to go to your brag house show. It's boring.
Oh my
And then I
god.
get judged because I want to smoke a joint in the corner. Like, oh, what's that smell? Oh, it's Ryan over there behind the garage. Like, yeah,
Who would
sorry.
judge that? It's like legal almost everywhere now.
There's still opinionated people out there.
Yeah, I just don't involve
I think
myself with people that
our
are very
generation still
opinionated about
had the
weed.
last bit of split. I mean, our generation had the last little
True.
bit of split where they were like, ew, and what's wrong with it? I think everything past
Exactly.
like the 09, 2010 graduation class were like, fucking let it rip, dude.
Right. Yeah, no, I was class of '09, so I
Awkward
I
pause.
1000%.
I was 09.
God
I was
rolled.
09.
Yeah. We're so old. Well, I graduated a year early.
I
I should have
just,
been 2010, but
what? I just voted now for the third time, fourth time since graduating high school. Obama. I think it's third time.
that was
Because Obama
08.
got in right before we got, or right before we graduated because most of us couldn't vote then.
Obama was 08. So he would have been
Yeah.
January 2009. So it was right. Yeah, that was the year we graduated, technically.
Yep.
And then after
In
that,
May,
it
June.
was Obama again?
Mm-hmm.
2012. And then
20 folks.
2016
So
was Trump.
1, 2, 3. So yeah, just voted in my 4th fucking election. I'm old, dude.
We're so old.
Ugh,
Joints,
12
man.
years.
I had to start taking collagen because I realized that my body stopped producing it or like doesn't produce it as quickly now. And I'm like, oh, I have to take like collagen and supplements for like to
Yeah, at least you know
keep
what
me in
that
my
is.
prime.
Most
At
people are
least I
like,
know
"What the
what.
fuck's that? Is that a toothpaste?" Like
Oh my
most people our age is like, "Is that a toothpaste? What is that?"
I don't know. I feel like I've kind of gone down a little bit of the rabbit hole of like holistic TikTok. So I have faith that some people
I just
actually
picked
do
up
know what collagen
Barbara.
is.
I just picked up Barbara O'Neill's 20 books in one on holistic remedies and natural
Ooh.
healings. Yeah, it's like 20 some dollars on Amazon. Let's go Bezos.
I was wondering when that was going to come out.
I got it today. It's like 500 plus pages thick, but it goes through everything like
Yeah.
arthritis, anxiety, sleep disorder, PMS issues, menopause, uh, even postpartum depressional issues and recovery. Yeah, tons of things. Cold and flu ailments. So definitely go look at
Oh, yeah.
Barbara O'Neill. They locked her up, didn't they?
You know, I have no idea because I haven't heard of her, but I am literally the like
You better write
hippie
that woman's nail
friend.
down right now.
I
You've seen her talk. You've seen her TED
I
talk. She's
probably
done many of
have,
speeches.
but
Many,
like
many, many.
I'm the hippie person when it comes to like cold and flu. Like people are like, oh, I have a cold. I'm like, okay, well, double up on your zinc, double up on your elderberry. Like I make my own elderberry syrup every year. Double up on your vitamin D, like put onions in your socks and go to
Oregano
bed that
oil.
way. It'll suck. Yeah, oregano oil
Yep.
is literally so good for that. Like onions in your socks and like will suck it all out. Like there's just so many holistic and people are like, I'm just gonna take Dayquil. I'm like, okay.
So to go back to our mental health thing on
I know we went down such
no
a
no no
rabbit hole.
I know. It just rang in my brain. I'm like, oh my God, I better tell her and her viewers about this. The biggest thing for me, like the most powerful thing for me that I put myself through and I listen to, like something I could just disconnect and listen to. It's on Audible and it's free. Um, do you know Dr. Brian Brown out of Texas?
No.
Ooh, write that one down. Brene with the I don't remember what the hell they call that little symbol above the E, but it's
The
Brian
accent
Brown.
mark.
Yeah, whatever the heck that is. But her speech called The Power of Vulnerability, Teachings of Authenticity, Connection, and Courage. It
Ooh.
teaches you about the pillars, the mental pillars of vulnerability. And once you are comfortable with your vulnerable side, you will essentially become superhuman because nothing will stress you out, nothing will bother you. It's essentially being able to take every situation, every insult you ever receive, and just go, yeah, good, cool.
Yeah. I love that.
It's cool.
I'm going to listen to that because I want to see how much of that I've like actually picked up from therapy because we obviously talk about all of that in therapy. So I'm wondering like how much of that like I've already gone over in therapy and how much more would be like a new thing, if that makes any sense.
This speech is done in front of a collective group of doctors and psychologists and therapists and studies and journalists and stuff like that. There are so many
Mm-hmm.
moments where she drops a statement and you can just hear the realization being truth dropped in the room. You just hear the
I love that.
oh yeah, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, you ready for this one?"
Oh yeah, it's
It's
coming together.
haunting. Yeah, that's Dr. Brian Brown, The Power of Vulnerability. I highly recommend it. It's got a cute
No,
little
I'm
orange
definitely gonna look it
background,
up.
little white dove. 6.5 hours long. It is a long speech. It is a
Okay, well we're
long
gonna chip away at that because I don't have a
but
spare
there's
6.5
chapters, but
hours.
I swear I didn't think so either, but then I caught myself at 2 hours and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It just gave me a whole new perspective on everything. And right now, currently on Audible, it's got 50,712 ratings and it's at a 4.9.
That's easy enough. Especially on
That's
Audible. I can
insane.
like pop it in and actually be productive for
Yeah.
once. But to wrap, one final question. With
Send it.
everything you've gone through and everything else, how are you doing now?
Now, it's interesting because right now I feel like at my I'm almost at my jump phase. Like I'm getting ready. When
Mhm.
you know something's coming and you know you're about to like
I'm out
move
there
up.
right now. Right now.
I'm about to level up soon. Like I'm right at the
Mhm.
verge of everything's ready. I'm going to be launching my own podcast here soon. And that's going to just be a deep dive into the brain of Ryan. Some are going to be solo. Sometimes I'm going to be talking with others, but it's mostly just going to be off the cusp rants and just what's on my mind.
I love
Uh,
that.
wish me luck.
Oh, good luck. It's gonna be
Wish
great
me
though.
luck
I
because
I
it's going to
feel
be
like if
censored
there's
and taken down. Whew.
look, if certain podcasts/podcast hosts have not gotten censored and taken down by now, I think you're gonna be fine.
Fair, fine. I might get into
Like,
screaming fights with myself, but here we go. But no, I'm currently I feel comfortable. I feel confident. There really isn't much right now that you could do to me that's gonna like cripple me or crush me. Like I just
mhm.
financially, I'm not at that fuck you level, but I'm comfortable. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm able to not stress too much, and I hate that other people aren't. But you just gotta stay focused. You know, the pandemic
Yep.
was there. I was door dashing fucking 60 hours a week. You know, I
Mhm.
was trying. I just took back 830 pop cans and bottles last night.
Jesus.
$83.
I've got
My
so many in
daughter
my
want.
garage right now and that I need to do, and I'm just like, I don't wanna.
My daughter wanted to do it when I picked her from school. I'm like, all right, boo boo.
Oh.
She's like, yeah, we'll make money when we'll go out to dinner. I'm like, I'll save some money. And I ended up actually pocketing $20 off the ordeal.
I was
So
just
got
gonna say that
good
that
dinner.
covered dinner.
Definitely covered dinner. I'm like, let's go. Left
She's
the lady
already got
nice
an eye
tip.
for the she's got an eye for it for sure.
She's a business gal. She's like, Daddy, we don't have
I
to touch
love
your
it.
bank account if we go take back all the annoying bottles in the garage. I'm like, you little sneaky shit.
Two birds, one stone. You don't have to spend money you currently have, and the shit gets taken out of the garage.
I like to say it in the form of Ricky from Trailer Park Boys. We're gonna get two birds
Oh
stoned
my
at
god.
once.
I have not seen that show in so long.
Let's get two birds stoned at once, boys. I've said that
Oh
many
my
a
god.
times. People just look at me like, what the fuck? Like, hey,
No, I am 1,000% Bubbles. Just like the freaking weirdo that loves all the cats.
hey, Julian. Oh, I'm very, very familiar. I used to
Oh
be
my god.
Julian for a while, Mister Drink in the Hand constantly.
Oh my lord. That guy. Dude,
Didn't
now
have
I'm
the
gonna have to
arms
rewatch
though.
that show. That's gonna be my like
It's
comfort watch when I'm trying to get things done now. I literally was like, there's no way this can actually be on TV. Like this is like it's too accurate. And now like I'm probably on a rewatch. I'm probably gonna be like, wow, there's a lot of like underlying like blah blah blahs on here. Like, you know.
viewers and listeners. You want to feel better about your situation, your lifestyle? Just go ahead and watch Trailer Park Boys available on Netflix. Look at us just endorsing a bunch of shit for the people.
Bonus points if you're from a town with a lot of trailer parks and you know people that are those characters.
Oh, Sunnyvale, play your peeps. I love.
Oh yeah.
But no, you said that was about the last question there, girl.
Yeah. So thank
I
you so
appreciate it.
freaking much for coming back. I
Hopefully, we
cannot wait to
touched
get
on
these out.
everything. We
I
didn't
think we
touch on the
did.
parents related partners thing.
Yeah, well, that just means we got to bring you back.
That's fine. That one's always
That's
an interesting perspective that I
yeah,
have.
same, freaking same. So yeah, thank you so much for coming back, and I cannot wait to get these out.
Yes, the people have been waiting.
They have been waiting.
No, I appreciate you again. Thank you so much.